Hello, art journalers. I have a lack of motivation. This is my solution right here. This is a oracle card deck. When I start my sessions out like this and I'm kind of lost and I don't know what to do, this is where I go. I go to something like this, where I can maybe pull a card for some motivation and see where it gets me. So that's what we're going to work on today. When I start, I cut the cards, I shuffle them a little bit. So I just randomly pull a card from the deck. This says see the solution. See what you want to have as an answer. So this is about visualizing exactly what you want, which I kind of love that message. It's hard when we do art to visualize, and I think we get hung up a lot of times on this. Sometimes, and I'm way guilty of this, we have a vision, an ending in mind, and if it doesn't come out exactly like we think it should, we get all upset about it or hung up about it, or we maybe overdo what we're doing. But I think in this case, seeing the solution is probably for me, just because I haven't made art for 2 weeks, is just seeing the solution, just seeing that I'm going to pick up the paintbrush in my journal and start working. So that's how I'm going to interpret this for me today. Okay, so I pulled out my square journal. Oftentimes, I just like to get a mark on the page. This Stabilo All is one of my favorites pencils, and in today's case we're gonna not do anything important. I'm using my non-dominant hand here and just scribbling on the page. Something to begin with, sometimes as simple as a piece of washi tape. So it might not stay on the paper, it might stay, you don't know. Then I'll do something as simple as looking for, ooh, kind of love this. Something that I might rip up. This is a scrap from my desk. Just spread a little glue on the back. This is all just to get my creative juices flowing, so I don't think too much about it. I'm going to put that there. And since I have these out, I might as well just keep using this paper. And I'm not thinking too much about where I put things or why I put them right now. Just getting something on the paper and letting this run a little bit. I'm just going to wet my chip brush this is that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to wet it a little bit and take out a little gesso. Kind of push a little gesso in here. These are Neocolor 2s. Now, I like these because they can be wet or not wet. I'm going to wet the tip, kind of color in there a little bit. I love these Neocolor 2s so much because they're so versatile. You could just getting some colors and some ideas on the background, nothing too serious. I seem to have a theme going, so I wanted to play with some of my new colors. So I'm going to put some of my paint out. And I have a small brayer in my hand, and I'm just going to start using the brayer to see how I feel about these colors on here. Now, I sort of inadvertently picked a palette. I sort of have this purple and that green. Sometimes I really like the look of the way brayering sort of comes out. I want some weight in here. Now again, my brush is quite wet, so I might try dabbing some of that up, taking some of the paint, water out of my brush. Okay, using my card as a reference, I decided I was going to use that little idea of a circle. So I'm just going to loosely get a circle here. My other thought was I have this sort of person here. I think I'm going to work on that a little bit. Maybe give him a little bit of a head and then draw bit of a carrot person. Not making it anything too extensive here. Just sort of getting in the idea of a person. Now this person has some orange in them. Sort of, and yes, I'm copying. This is one of those moments where when you don't feel like thinking, that copying might be just what you need. This is your sketchbook. You can feel free to practice and play and copy others. This isn't about you selling this. So it's how you learn. It's an idea. It's not a perfect representation, but it's the idea of what was happening here. Now, I like the arrows. So I might do something a little bit different here with that. I might take the idea of a arrow with a caran dash. No, so now I see these green sort of pine tree looking things down here with some red on them. I kind of like that. So I might, rough in a Christmas tree look. So there's these sort of white dots in that darker background, but and it's just a little repetitive something for the background. And now I'm contaminating my paint because of how I'm doing this, but this is just mark making. And I'm just flicking some paint. And voila, my page for the day. Now I have this left over, which I don't want to waste necessarily, so I'm going to go to my page over, and I'm just going to take this and spread it on this page so that it brings a little cohesion to the colors and I'm not wasting paint. And that is how I begin my next project. Now, not bad, but it was something and I got something done. So I sort of broke the no journaling mode for this year. So now I have a page. I use this as my guide. I'm going to let it go at that. And I hope that you enjoyed this little session and will play with something like this yourself. Until next week, you guys have a great week and I will see you then.